I want you to have audacity because you're good enough to do it. You're already changing behavior. So we as a company can change the world little by little. The things I'm going to say today aren't really based, most of them aren't based on behavioral science. So I want to be really clear, even though like I live and breathe behavioral science, like everything I do, the things that I'm going to say today are not necessarily based on behavioral science. Don't watch too much news. I just want you to think about that for a second, because it's toxic. Because did you ever notice, man, like there's nothing good. News is sensational. Like what gets people's attention is, yeah, it's clickbait, and what gets people's attention is negative, alarming stuff. So their goal, the news, is to send you sensational, scary shit to get you to want to watch it out of fear. Get news from various sources, not just from like CNN or fake news, whatever. Like, because news is extremely toxic and all it's going to do is bring you down. And if you're trying to uplift your mood to go in front of clients and inspire people, the news will bring you down. There's been some crazy events going on where like some of the people that you think are like happy are not. Like that guy Anthony Bourdain hung himself. Like he reached his goal of being a CNN, having a show of his own, going all around the world to like try food and then be recorded doing it, which was his end game. It was his goal from what I read. And he attained it, and then he like hung himself. They found it. So like what's going on? And then like people like Robin Williams, like didn't he seem like happy or like he attained a lot in life? My point for bringing that up is don't, people that appear to have all these things, like accomplished things and met a bunch of goals, don't assume they're happy. And for yourself, don't think that like just the goals that you set, that when you attain them, I don't want you to think that that's the end game. Because like we talked about in one of the previous meetings, this is scientific. When you attain a goal, you're gonna have that post-reinforcement pause. And if you don't recover from that and set the next thing, you could sink into depression and anxiety. So don't let your goals dictate your total happiness. Enjoy the moment and the journey to the goal. Because there isn't really an end game. Trust me, I know. Because I've been in the depths of hell and Marlene pulled me out of it. I think, and I'm just sharing things that off the top of my head, I feel like they didn't enjoy the journey. And if you don't enjoy the journey along the way, then you're gonna be disappointed when you hit your goals. For me, I don't know about for you, but I see like things in life really binary. Maybe I'm just simple in my head or something. I see them as like, you're either progressing, learning, getting healthy, flourishing in a hobby, flourishing on your job, flourishing in your relationships, or you're little by little digressing or regressing. Think of your success and your goal attainment where you might not necessarily be progressing in your job, but your relationship's progressing. Or you might not be progressing in your relationship, but your job is in your career. You might not be progressing with your son or daughter, but you built this great relationship with your neighbor. Whatever happens to you, you're gonna have to work with all the other things and progress in those areas. I have a quote that someone gave me, I think it was my mom. It said, there's no higher purpose than service to others. There's no higher purpose than service to others. I'm telling you, like if you get too into yourself, like you'll get self-consumed in your own head. If you're all about you, like only, and you're not like serving other people, you're all in the service business, so you're helping people constantly. You're probably getting constant endorphin rushes because there's something that goes on in the brain. I don't know the exact chemistry behind it, but don't get too hung up on you. The more you help other people, the more you're literally, the service you provide to other people is going to be uplifting for you. So don't ever, there's going to be days that you're like, I'm just drained, like they took everything out of me. But then just rejuvenate, reboot, and then the next day realize, you know, that you moved the ball forward for that person that you helped. But I can tell you, I can promise you that if you focus only on you all the time and not serving someone else, it's just gonna consume you, and you'll kind of have. I'm bringing up these mental health issues just because there's so many things people have brought to my attention, and I feel like I should share it. Remember to exercise.
Pigeon, window washer.
No. Like definitely, whatever exercise is to you. For me, it's just a slow-paced walk these days. Like I try to run and it stops really quickly, and because I guarantee you'll have way more motivation and way more energy when you exercise. I know we're big on social media and I know we post a lot of stuff, but I want you to know that just because you see people posting shit on Instagram and Facebook and YouTube that they're all happy and stuff, that can bring you down. Don't let it, like, because you start looking at your own life saying, wait, I'm not doing that. I want you to know that, like, people only post their highlights and shit. You know what I mean? Like with social media, they almost always post their highlights in their life, and just realize their life isn't that way. So don't look at other people's posts and think you're missing out on anything, because you're not. But realize just because people post stuff, don't think that they're, you know, happier than you. Just realize that they have their own things going on and they're only highlights. Don't let it get you down. You know how I always say it would be great if you could, for part of your day, you can work because you want to, not because you have to. I see it as the positive, negative reinforcement. If you could little by little move towards doing what you want to do, little by little with this job, instead of what you have to do, you're going to be a lot happier. You can't always do what you want to do, but if little by little you can move towards what you do versus what you have to do. And I heard a saying I really liked. It was, be a success seeker as opposed to a failure avoider. You know what I mean? Be a success seeker instead of a failure avoider, because there's two different operations going on there from the behavioral contingency. When you're a success seeker and you're seeking things to better yourself and your family and someone else, you're shooting for positive reinforcement, right? It's like for you and for people you're helping. When you're worried about failure and you think about failure, number one, you are going to fail. And two, you're operating on negative reinforcement. You're working or doing things to avoid some consequence. And you're going to have bare minimum effort, just like behavioral science says. So you're changing behaviors, right? You're changing people's behaviors, and you have a technology, a behavioral technology to do it, which is incredible. And you're learning about it more and more rapidly. You're learning about your own behavior, and you're learning about others. You're learning about teachers' behaviors, and you're realizing that the teacher influenced the learner. So if the learner loves you, that's great, but it doesn't mean anything in the long run if the teacher hates you and you can't help because they kick you out of the room. You're just learning all these crazy contingencies. So given that you're little by little becoming an expert in these areas, I think that you should always think about the long game. I think we as a company have to not only just change behavior of the learners that we're working with and people that you're mentoring, but the best word I can think of is I want you guys to have the audacity to want to change not just the behavior of other people, but change the world, because I think we can do it. I'm like that pumped up because I'm seeing the stuff that you're doing and that we're doing. We can literally, I want you to have audacity because you're good enough to do it. You're already changing behavior. So we as a company can change the world little by little.